Hello, and welcome to Astro Mingle, the spiritual podcast that mingles with the talented lightworkers and the innovative influencers of our time. Lately in the lightwork industry, I don't know if you guys have noticed, it's like we have like all these new stories coming out about high vibration medicine, right? Mystics like Yeshua coming or us having those powers. Medical beds, that's super popular. My mom's waiting for her medical bed. I'm like, Mom, I hope it comes, if we have the insurance for it. But they all apparently will heal you, of anything you have simply by just lying down or being in the presence of that energy. But history shows we've had the power to heal our entire lifetime. In fact, it can come from just our mind state. And tonight, our guest is going to talk about what he does to help people heal from their issues. But first, we're going to take a little word from our sponsor, and we come back, our guest this evening. Tonight, I'm happy to introduce Steve Roehm, an expert in personal transformation with over 20 years of experience helping people make real, lasting changes through their advanced hypnotherapy and coaching techniques. Steve is the founder of Conversational Alchemy, I love that title, where he teaches practitioners how to create deep change through natural, unscripted conversations that reach the unconscious mind. At his practice, Nashville's Hypnosis, he's helped thousands tackle changes like stopping smoking, releasing weight, healing from trauma, and overcoming anxiety. Steve's mission is to help clients and fellow practitioners both. He's out there business to business also, unlock their true potential and to create positive, lasting changes in their clients. I had the pleasure of meeting Steve actually at Unite the Light, and I'm so glad to meet him here again on our show. Please welcome and say hello with love and happiness to Step 3 Aries, Steve Roehm. Excuse me, crack there on that one. Is he there? Okay.
Hey.
Hey, you're a magician too. Hey, you look great, man.
Thank you, sir. Good to see you again.
Thank you. Good to see you and under better circumstances. So grateful you're there, though. I was surprised, actually. You have the look of a guy who, in the old days, I would be worried about pissing off. Like just there's something about you. I'm just like, you don't want to piss off that guy. Trust me. But then getting to know you and the chaos, you're the opposite. You're definitely a calm maker. I would calm down as I get closer to you, and I'd get anxious as I went away. So your energy is great. Thanks for coming on, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Really I think what you do is, I think we consider you a light worker. I don't know if that's wrong of us to put that on our label on you, but I feel like when you're a person who makes the world a better place, you're interested in people having a better lives, then you are doing good. We need it. I guess that begs the question, kind of like how you got on that path. Were you the kid in the playground that was counseling kids?
I was completely self-destructing.
Oh, okay. Research.
I was my biggest project, quite honestly.
Right.
I started this several years ago. I quit smoking with hypnosis first about 26 years ago.
Wow.
And it really blew my mind, quite honestly. I didn't know how did that even happen.
Yeah.
And it really just kind of led me down a path of discovery to find out what had just transpired in my mind, because I got hypnotized by a redneck outside of Murray, Kentucky.
You know best. He's probably an expert, by God,
who knows where he is right now. That was so many years ago.
How old were you at that? Yeah. How old were you at that time?
At the time I was 29. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. In astrology, that's a very important moment too, for our Saturn return. And so that is actually maybe 29. You probably feel the adulthood coming on, and you're like, this is a bad habit, better quit it, because it's still kind of young to be that responsible.
It was more than that. I was dealing with a lot of depression.
Okay.
There was alcohol and some other stuff involved. And
got you.
And hypnosis was really the tool that kind of pulled me away from all of that. And because really I just wanted to know what had transpired at that session, and started playing around with it just to see what I could do with it, because I was really curious.
Yeah.
And eventually helped a friend of mine quit smoking, and that's how the whole thing kind of started snowballing from there.
First you quit, then he did. No, I want to ask you, as someone who hears this, watches the commercials on TV for other practitioners, is it instant when you come out of that trance? Are you just no longer interested in a cigarette? Like how well does it work as a person who went through it himself and does it now?
About 95% of my clients will quit in the first session.
Wow. And that's it for the rest of the night? They leave? They don't want it?
Yeah, they're done. Yeah.
Wow.
Now, is that going to be true for every practitioner of hypnotherapy? Unlikely.
Yeah.
I'm 26 years into this. I've helped over 7,000 people quit smoking. I've done 10, probably 20,000 sessions with people, you know.
Wow. That's
So a
incredible.
lot of experience goes into it. There's a lot of intuition. There's a lot of energy that I bring
Yeah.
with me into my sessions.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of layers now to who I am and what I do.
Yeah.
Uh, to label me just a hypnotherapist is kind of a misnomer.
No, I think you deserve, quit smoking, whisperer. You probably have that, the quit smoking whisperer. Well, I bet
And
you
weight and
there's
anxiety and
well, there's like well, I think I can relate. There's like a over time, I'm doing readings. You develop these other layers of your gift, right, and these other intuitions, and so along this particular one of quitting smoking, you probably become truly a very finessing.
oh
It's like probably an art. It's probably like it's probably beautiful. It's so smooth because you've just learned people, the types of people,
yeah.
the blocks. Like you see it all coming ahead of time, right? Um,
Well, most
so
of it happens in the conversation. People are not even aware that I'm working with it.
whoa.
That's
Wow.
that's
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 where
where
I
the
went for those
real
20
magic.
minutes at the store. I was kidding. Yeah. I can remember where I was, Steve. Yeah, that's amazing. So you
Yeah.
just kind of lay down the preliminary relaxing and some of the layers to it in the conversation.
Well, the relaxing stuff comes later. Honestly,
Okay.
I'm not worried about relaxation.
Okay.
Hypnosis really doesn't have relaxation is not necessary for hypnosis.
Wow. Okay. That's a big one. See, we're blowing the top
Uh,
off of, that's interesting because it's like, I think it's TV then that's made us think that.
yeah, well, I mean, you can go back to the 1950s, close your eyes, deeper, 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 and all that stuff.
Right.
But that's not really the way I look at hypnosis.
How do you look
Wh-
at it?
I think hypnosis is when your unconscious or your subconscious mind
Hmm.
accepts an idea as a truth. And then from there, it creates new beliefs, new behaviors, new perspectives on your world. And people say, well, I can't be hypnotized. Well, the thing is, you are hypnotized.
Hmm.
Everybody is. We were hypnotized all the way back to from our parents, teachers, preachers, doctors, the people we trusted when we were growing up. If they taught us something and we accepted that as a reality, then that guided our choices and our behaviors from there. And
Hmm. It had a
what
profound
I'm doing,
effect.
what's
Yeah.
that?
It had a profound effect, but a waking effect though.
Yeah, well, it can be waking or constricting. It really depends on the individual and what they're in and what they decide is reality for them. Because certain situations will constrict people. You take a trauma, and a trauma will constrict the idea
Yeah.
somebody's idea of who they are or what they want to experience from there.
Yeah.
And then of course events happen that can mirror those things, and all of a sudden we're back in the same experiences again, and then
Right.
people stop taking action because of fear and anxiety and things that they don't want to experience again, which makes sense. But a
Hmm.
lot of times it's illogical at that point in their life.
Hmm. You've opened up a can of worms for me. Do you think that like when we find ourselves overeating, we find ourselves going too far, then you just find these like sort of habits. It is
Yeah.
like we are kind of hypnotized
Mhm.
in those moments. We are kind of hypnotized, and we do kind of go, oh no, not again. I'm doing it again. But you kind of like finding yourself, watching yourself doing. It's not, And so that mean that really hypnosis is kind of this enters into a layer that we're already operating on most of the time, anyways. That's what I'm trying to say.
Oh, constantly. Yeah. Yeah.
Because
I
we
mean,
do zone out.
what's that?
So that means what I've thought of hypnosis was not correct. It's like kind of right here now in a way.
Well, that's more of a trance. Is
Okay.
what most people think about, but you can have
Okay.
hypnosis without trance. Like I said, most of my work happens with my clients in conversation. And what I'm doing is creating little micro trances where the mind is open to a suggestion.
Ah.
At that point, it's almost like, in a way, I was explaining this to my class last week. It's almost like I'm pushing somebody into the deep end and then throwing them a life preserver.
Huh.
And the thing they grab a hold of at that point is the thing that all of a sudden it plants in their unconscious mind. And now they're not flailing around anymore in their life. They've got something to hold on to that makes sense with where they are in this moment in their life.
Right. I can see that's good for maybe the masses even. Push them in the water. They start to panic. I'm a lifesaver. In that moment, they've accepted this new lifesaver.
Yeah.
That's very interesting. I just realized that we get so as a young man, that was young because I remember that's when I was just blooming as an astrologer, about 29. So my light bulb turned on as far as being interested in people.
Yeah.
Had you ever had an interest in people, growing up?
Uh, I've always been sensitive since I
Mm,
was a kid. And I've always enjoyed helping people. I've always liked to go out of my way and just be of service.
mm,
Whether it was going to mowing somebody's yard or helping
okay.
them do random things when I was a kid. I had no idea I had these talents until later. But some of that came from learning how to use my voice in radio and
Mm.
carrying that over. Of course, that helped in the few weekends ago. Uh,
Yes. Yes. I imagine your hypnosis too. I mean, just tell me the traffic, I'm gonna start to drift. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. No, that you have that voice. I can see where it plays into it.
it
And so I
certainly
imagine.
can. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, are you when you're in a session with a person? Do you feel like you are reading them and working with them energetically? Or are you receiving information from another, pre-known information about the client? Um,
Uh, for me, I'm paying attention to my intuition. Whether it's coming from, I don't know. But I'm also very in tune with micro expressions and body
uh,
language, inflection, intonation, speed of the voice, where people pause, where they hesitate,
yeah.
because that's where the unconscious mind is really communicating.
Yes.
And if I can catch those little moments, that's where I can really pry things open very quickly. Where I see a lot of people who, well, for instance, I was at a coaches conference one time, and I was
Mm.
watching these high value coaches missing massive amounts of opportunities where they could have helped somebody really just break through the problem like very quickly. But they're not paying
Yes.
attention to the micro expressions and all the little things that I'm looking for.
Hmm.
Uh,
Oh, I got
so
you. And
yeah.
this is where it's kind of, well, I think this is a sport. I mean, I believe in past lives. Who knows where you picked up those
Mhm.
talents? But I can think of 1,000 different ways you might
Right.
have picked those up.
Sure.
Just dealing with the people as a cop, and like every day, and we know her, and you just get to know people. I mean, there's a million ways.
Yeah.
But the fact is that you have a talent for looking, and it's interesting because I read people the same way. But I'm looking the little energies I get. I just get a feeling, little
Mhm.
vibes, like twinklings of vibes, which are
Yeah.
familiar. And in these cases, I've noticed that people come up with all kinds of great stories, but when it comes to like cover up, everyone kind of goes to the same stuff. Like use the same tricks or whatever. So I think it's sometimes obvious. Do you find that over the years, how has your practice changed in general? I mean, you always get the people to come in for what they want. Does it go beyond that to everyone's surprise?
Uh, how has it changed over the years? Well, I look at hypnosis like music.
Mm,
People, you can come. I could teach you how to hypnotize somebody in an afternoon. It's really not that difficult to do.
mm-hmm.
What to do with it from there, you can spend the rest of your life mastering that.
Yeah. Okay.
And it's just like picking up an instrument. You can learn 3 chords in a day, and you can spend the rest of your life learning how to master a guitar.
Oh,
So I think my skills have become much more in tune with my clients. I'm,
yeah.
I'm I'm much more nuanced in my work. I'm very specific about the way I carry myself now. Where of course, in the beginning, I was still trying to find my legs like anything else new. Um, my
Yeah.
clientele has changed
Oh, yeah.
because I draw in different people now than I used to. Obviously, of course, I charge a lot more than I used to as well, so that kind of filters out some folks.
Yeah. 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 In some cases.
Yeah,
Some
well, and
cases.
I'm very picky about my clients now too.
Oh,
You
yeah.
can't, you can't just go online and book a session with me. It's not going to happen. Uh,
Interesting.
we will have a conversation before I ever see you on Zoom, which is where I see all my clients.
Yeah.
Uh, but I
Good point.
talk to all my clients before we ever sit down, because if they're not ready,
Yeah.
if there's not a good rapport with us,
Yeah.
if they don't like me or I don't like them, then it's unlikely we're going to have a really good connection and the kind of deep, connective conversation I want to have with my clients.
I was gonna bring that up. I mean, boundaries and trust. I
Hmm.
mean, you're telling us your boundaries of
Yeah,
you make sure that they're qualified before coming in the door, that you can actually help them. That's one
yeah.
boundary. But I find that when you have in front of a person who has a lot of boundaries, you can kind of feel it,
Hmm.
and you can just feel. You wonder if they're against you for a minute.
Yeah, yeah,
It's like you're on one side, and then once you choose a side, you're like, if you're on their side, you're grateful because they feel strong. And I
yeah.
imagine that trust is a lot of what goes into your practice. I mean, you're talented at helping people feel safe.
It's necessary. Yeah, if they don't feel
Yeah.
safe with me, we're not gonna have a good conversation. So, a part of the beginning of our conversation is building that rapport, getting that connection, building
Yeah.
that trust up. And then from there, once I have that trust and they know that I'm out for their own good, then the
Yeah.
conversation can get a little weird.
Yeah.
Uh, because it's a different kind of conversation than just sitting here and talking back and forth, because the
Yeah.
questions I ask are a little strangely framed. uh, People don't know exactly what's happening because I'm creating a bit of confusion too.
Mm,
And that's where those little micro trances open up.
interesting. Is
Uh,
that literal? When you say micro, is that or a term for what something you witnessed?
it's what I call it.
Okay.
It's there was I was watching something. I saw this on Instagram not too long ago, actually. Gentleman talking about L. Ron Hubbard
No.
and the Alice in Wonderland effect.
Well, tell.
And what that is if you can create enough confusion in someone, the next thing that you say that makes sense is much more likely to be accepted.
Huh.
So that's what
You'll
I'm
throw them
doing
off
with
and
the
then,
conversations is I'm kind of spinning
huh.
people out, creating these little
Wow.
confusing moments. They don't quite know what I just said. So in that little split second there, that's where the doorway opens for me to introduce a
Interesting.
suggestion.
Huh. That is so interesting. 'Cause I've never heard that ever. Do they train that straight out in when you train you? Or is that something you've just come to realize and mastered?
Well, I stand on the shoulders of giants. There are a
Okay.
handful of people ahead of me
Right.
that have really mastered this work, and I've taken it and, of course, brought my own magic into it, really,
Yeah. Goodness.
because it's the connection that I have with my clients that's really missing in most of hypnosis out there, honestly. Uh,
So true. And
yeah,
I would imagine. Now, here's the thing. It always gets me the placebo effect.
yeah.
That just. I mean, well, if everyone's, it's like every medicine is, gives it to a group that thinks they
If
have
it
it.
works, it works.
Yeah. I said a group that thinks they have it, and a group who
Yeah,
who does know. No, it doesn't know if they do or don't. So it could go either way. Their mind
yeah.
can choose either way what they believe. They sit there and guess what, which team they're on, and imagine what their team are on. Assuming the point is like the results always come back. It's like people who are placebo, half of them, half or more, heal.
Yeah.
They actually heal according to
Yep.
what the medicine was saying it would do. Which right away, it's like, why are we hypnotizing America? Like if that's the case, or if they're even hypnotizing, we just teach them out that if our mind really can do that. But
Oh, America's
hypnosis
already
does.
hypnotized.
Okay, gotcha,
America
gotcha.
is so hypnotized right now.
That's true. Actually, it's a good way to
The
put it.
the news, I mean, my gosh, if you're not familiar with the Mockingbird, project, check it out.
Hmm. Yeah.
That's all hypnosis. It's the repetition of suggestion
Oh,
over and
the
over and
idea.
over. You hear it everywhere, so it's
Yeah.
confirmed in all places, and all of a sudden, it becomes a reality. That's the
Yeah.
acceptance of that truth that I was talking about.
Yes.
Whether it's a real truth or not
It
is
doesn't matter.
irrelevant.
Yeah. It doesn't matter whatever the magician wants to introduce.
Yeah.
Actually, well, because it's no, that's very interesting. So, would you describe this as it's not a heart space? You're not getting in their heart. Like their heart's not accepting that. I don't feel because they would have to be real openness and vulnerability, unless it's something they want to hear, maybe.
It
But it's
depends on
but
the individual. Yeah, yeah. And my toolbox is full of tools, so it really depends on what happens in the moment.
correct. Yeah.
It's a conversation.
In the end of the day, they're leading, actually, right? Like in the end of the day, they're leading. Although
Yeah.
that's the inside out of it. Yeah, I was just curious of the states of awareness. Certainly, it's in your mind, it's in your subconscious mind, it's in your feel, your emotional field. Is
Mhm.
those are where I think the shifts are. And so, how does hypnosis wear off? Did you find yourself? Because I'm such an aware person. First of all, I feel like I shouldn't try it for some reason, which makes me suspicious to want to. There's a hypnosis thing right there. But I'm just very curious about how I feel before and after because I'm so aware of my awareness. I pay attention to it all the time. I learn it from watching, trying to figure out God's little whistles and stuff that are built in. So I wonder how aware I would be of the whole process. Is the client fully aware? Like you just talk, like they
Yeah.
had a good talk with you? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. It's an interesting talk. They know something is happening, but it's
Mm.
overtly covert, if you will.
Oh,
There are
interesting.
they paid me for change.
Right.
They know something is happening. They just don't know exactly what I'm doing or how it's happening.
Yeah.
There is a lot of it it comes from intention, quite honestly, and expressing that energy to them.
Yes.
So there is a lot of that, and I drop myself into trance before they ever go there.
Huh. So you're on another planet when they show up?
Pretty much, yeah.
Wow, interesting. And what is that?
Last
What is the
26 years.
that's interesting too, because our practitioners on our side will meditate, go into different states of awareness before they go out and practice.
Yeah.
But you actually do a little bit of hypnosis on yourself, hypnosis.
Well, I do self hypnosis, but I drop myself into trance like instantly.
Ah, okay, interesting.
And to I think it's much easier to bring someone into an experience with me than it is to push them there.
Oh,
So as I
right.
drop myself into a state that I want them to experience, it's
Huh.
much easier to draw them in because they see it happening in front of them. Their unconscious mind is paying attention to it,
Hmm.
and they're just going to follow along most of the time. It depends on the individual and how willing they are to play with me. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, that's fascinating. You're really illuminating it for me. I had no idea it was that deep. But I knew something was going on that I didn't trust the way I was seeing it, like people being turned into chickens.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
legit, right? And in a bar, that's legit. I mean, that is legit, right? You could do that. You can turn someone into a chicken, think they're a chicken for a minute.
Rarely. It depends on the individual
Okay.
and how willing they are to either play along,
Okay.
because a lot of the stage shows you see people on stage, they're up there playing along because that makes them the star of the show.
Ah, gotcha. That makes sense.
There are a
Yeah.
handful of people up there that are gonna accept that little T truth for that moment
Right.
that they're freezing up there, they're driving a car or whatever it is,
That's what I
but
think.
it's rare that you're gonna find a whole lot of people that are gonna do that.
Yeah. Okay. Gotcha. That's what I would think. That's what I feel too. To
Yeah.
me, that's like then there's incredible power of our conscious. And hypnotherapy is like astrology. It's not very regulated.
No, not at all.
And how do you
Fortunately
feel?
and unfortunately.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
When I think of mine too. At the end of the day, but at the end of the day, what does that open up to? I mean, what is your feeling as a result of that? I'm sure you don't want to be told how to do your practice.
No, I don't want well, nobody knows what I do anyway. I can always change what I do, change the name of what I do and call it something completely different. I'm just having a conversation as far as they know. Uh,
That's true. It's true.
so,
Yeah.
but
You
I
flip
think
around.
that the problem with hypnotherapy is that number one, there is no regulation. And that means that there are a lot of people out there who have almost zero training. I
Yeah.
mean, you could go to Amazon right now and buy Hypnosis for Dummies, read it tonight, and hang a shingle tomorrow in most states.
Huh.
And you can read the script right out of the book if you want to.
Wow.
But the problem with that, there's no connection with the client.
Yeah. You really
And
have to put them into enchantment. You have to be enchanted by it.
it really, yeah, that's kind of what's happening. I mean, like I said, we're building, making sure that we have a good connection. They have trust with me. That they're willing to go along for that interesting little journey we're about to have. So there's a lot of pre-frames. There's a lot of presuppositions. There's a lot of way that I'm framing the whole thing before somebody even shows up.
Well,
On the
interesting.
phone, I let them know that you're most likely going to go in and out of some weird little experiences while we're having a conversation.
Hmm.
So I've already
What-
planted the seed in their mind.
Okay, you set it up. Yeah. And that moment is technically the fire, little firing is going off. You see as
Yeah,
opportunity.
and there could be a series of those in a conversation. It's not just
Uh,
one time that I'm going to do it.
yes.
And it depends on it. It really everything just goes with the flow.
Right.
It's a conversation. So I don't go
Yeah.
into it with a whole lot of expectation of how things are going to unfold. I just know that I want to get from point A to point B and get them there as quickly as possible.
I understand that. I think that's probably not making any allegations here, but that's how I think like a lot of charmers get a lot of things. It seems like they employ some of these abilities that you've noticed and witnessed in humans,
Yeah, yeah.
where they have bad intention, and that really brings the question. Oh, okay, so how do I find or how do I identify a hypnotherapist that I can trust? Obviously, they got their hands on
Call
some.
me.
Yeah. Okay. And overall, the qualities that you should look for, even someone's thinking back to when they've had because they didn't know if it's kind of
Yeah.
funky or something. What are the maybe three tail times that you're probably in a good place?
The problem with this is again no regulation, so you don't know who's learned from whom, what
Okay.
they've learned, what skills they've learned. If you go in and pay them $150 an hour, are they going to read to you? Which is
Ah,
what
gotcha.
a lot of hypnotherapists do.
Hip
Uh,
hip to
they,
it, yeah.
yeah, they're reading at their clients. Go ahead and close your eyes. I'll read this thing at
Oh
you.
my God, really? That's
Oh
funny.
yeah, yeah. No,
Oh, I had
that's
no
more
idea.
common than you know.
Hmm.
That doesn't happen with me because they don't close their eyes.
Oh,
Unless we
interesting.
have to do some trance work. And like I said, I've got a big full toolbox, so whatever we need to do, we'll do. But I it's hard to say who's going to be a great hypnotist for you. Find somebody you connect with first and foremost. If you don't
Okay.
have good rapport, if you don't have a good gut feeling about them,
Yeah.
if you have some weird, just go do something else because your unconscious mind is going to block out anything they say to you anyway.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I would recommend finding somebody who has studied multiple different modalities in hypnosis,
Okay.
neuro linguistic programming.
Okay.
My studies have kind of led me off into some weird things too,
Yeah.
because I've studied dark psychology. I've studied pickup artistry, not because I'm using this stuff to go out and use it
Abuse
in
it. Right.
negative ways. My curiosity was how can I take that tool
Yeah.
that somebody's using to flip somebody's mind in a matter of minutes or hours in a obvious weird situation.
Yeah.
How can I bring that in to help my clients learn or help my clients move through their problem even faster?
Hmm.
So I'm
Yeah.
looking at every tool I can find and how can I incorporate that into what I do. So
Yeah.
find somebody who's well versed, but don't find it somebody who does everything.
All the flashes.
If they're doing Reiki and they're they're building garages on the side and they're doing hypnosis in the evenings, probably not your best bet.
Not
Uh,
yeah, not experienced enough.
yeah, find somebody who's got a bunch of testimonials, somebody who's
Mm,
already proven themselves,
yeah.
and be willing to invest in it. Because if you find the right person, you can move through a problem very quickly. A lot of my clients see me once.
Yes. I was gonna ask that. I mean, um, I found that with astrology. I mean, if you can hit the button exactly where they're stuck,
Hmm.
it's quite like like a marksman kind of. I mean,
Yeah.
and it hits just right with the sun's shining this way. Like people just, they're just changed.
Boom.
They
Done.
need that one moment. What do you generally? So smoking is a physical thing. What kind of a spiritual, emotional thing?
I actually smoking's more emotional than you know.
Okay, all right, there you
I
go. Probably
I
true.
look at smoking more like an adult pacifier.
Right. Okay. So at least other
Yeah,
things.
yeah, because
So,
when somebody
yeah.
loses their cigarettes, they lose their mind, just like a baby who lost their pacifier. If it drop it, it's a foot away and they can't find it, same situation. They've gotten
Right.
so used to
Interesting.
having that security or whatever it does for them, but I
Yeah.
don't think the nicotine is a problem, Like I said,
I
almost all my
agree.
clients have quit in one session,
Yeah.
and I've never
Where
had
they
an
walk out
opioid
sucking their
addict.
pen.
What's that? Oh, no,
Yeah.
well, the pen is even worse, my gosh. Anybody who's out there sucking on a vape right now, you need to call me today, because
Oh
you're hurting
yeah.
yourself much faster than cigarettes ever did.
You know the insurance. Okay, just since you've opened the door and might be a
Mhm.
calling here, I keep hearing that too. But why? What exactly in a nutshell have you come to that conclusion?
Well, the
Like
problem
we're
pe what's the stuff called? The glycol, probably polypropylene glycol.
okay.
That's what the stuff is suspended in,
Okay, I
and you
gotcha.
see the vape that comes out, that's particulates that have
From
been created, and those things are staying in the lungs.
okay, okay.
So it's not I'm not saying cigarettes are better.
No, no,
I
it's
don't
like pick your
recommend you do anything to harm your body. It's the only
yeah,
one you have.
yeah, totally. It's like lose your leg or lose your arm. Which would you like?
Yeah, oh,
Yeah, it's a choice, but that's interesting. Okay, I didn't know I hadn't studied it. Thank you for that.
yeah,
And I imagine that's it. So you're filling your lungs with all kinds of another product, that did more and could cause cancer,
yeah,
or whatever. Interesting. So emotional. Going back to your point there,
yeah.
does it go beyond smoking cigarettes? I mean, like, does the client realize the deeper thing there, or do clients come in straight for the deep thing?
Uh,
Um,
the people come in with problems that they think
right.
they have,
Okay.
and they're the symptoms of the problems they have.
Oh, yes, exactly.
So I wanna get to the core of the issue as quickly as possible. That's why I like to work through things. I don't like to work on them. I don't expect my clients to be maintenance projects for me. I'm not gonna become somebody's psychotherapist, and they're gonna spend the next 6 years with me every week. I wanna work through it, get them on their way, give them a good push, and if they hit something down the road, call me up. You know where to find me.
In
Uh,
fairness, you're an Aries.
I am.
And that's what Aries don't want. And it's like you finish it, I'll leave.
Yeah,
They like, magic done, and they're on to the next thing. Yeah, and so the things they do stick with are the profound work, type of thing.
yeah.
And so you're one and done, kind of get people out, but does it? I guess I'm wondering is like, in my probably the same way. So when I give readings, it's like they come in for this, right? And the issue's like way over here, over here. It's way on
Right.
the other side of things.
Yep.
And so then it takes. So I'll go there in the reading. We'll go ahead and go to that original place and then work on that. That's what I'm questioning, really, but difficult. Does hypnotherapy do the same thing? Do you end up hopping around, or is it, you know, one can off the shooting a can, shooting a can?
Uh, yeah, again, it depends on the individual.
Okay,
I
gotcha.
never know. We may find the core of the issue in the first 10 minutes of a conversation. I've had clients who we've worked. Well, I posted a video the other day of a demonstration I did with my class. A woman, I helped her move through a problem in about 6 minutes, and you could see the physical shift in her body. She completely changed in that moment.
Yeah.
Who knows? Sometimes it may take a couple of hours to sit down and have a really deep conversation that we dig through things, but I'm very good at being incisive and moving through things very quickly,
Mm,
because again, I'm paying attention to what the unconscious mind is expressing.
yeah.
So if I'm seeing something, as they tell me something, but I see it's incongruent with the way their body is showing me, then
Yeah.
I'm really curious what's behind that, because
Yeah.
that's the problem.
in or outer are not telling the same story,
Yeah.
and it's become a habit. So if that's the case, right now, I mean, I guess I'm trying to get a range of people who might have an issue that hypnotherapy would be good for,
Mhm.
and I'm trying to give a bigger range of that. So what are other ways that what are other things that hypnotherapy has worked well at? So people who
Uh,
can wonder if you can be of service or help them.
yeah, I work with people with identity issues.
Okay.
I work with a lot of a lot of empty nesters.
Oh,
The
yeah.
kids just took off to school, and all of a sudden they look in the mirror and go, "Who are you?" Because they haven't really paid attention to themselves for the past 18, 20 years.
Wow.
So I get a lot of that in. I've worked with a lot of veterans over the years with PTSD. Very well, a lot of people with PTSD.
Huh.
Everything from childhood traumas to combat and car accidents and fears of all kinds of different fears too. So if it's a truth that somebody accepted at some point in their life, I can probably help them change it and find a new truth.
Ah, yeah. So it's like a belief structure surgeon
Yeah, yeah,
in a way.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I was like, we're going in there and just pull that out. Interesting on the PTSD. It seems like it has been on the rise, but that could be my perception. Is there, have we, what, is there a baseline that's put people in that position to begin with? And then they go fight a war, which pretty much pushing over the edge or putting the
Uh,
stock market.
Well, there are some. Yeah, I mean, of course, we all people come from bad backgrounds and bad parenting,
Right.
and parents who were messed up kids that grew up to be messed up adults, and then they had kids and messed up their kids, and
Okay. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, we're layers of beliefs and stories and ideas that we think the world is, and we are.
Okay.
And sometimes those things are based in truth and real truth, and sometimes they're based in those little t truths that somebody just decided that that's their story about themselves. I can't do
Okay.
this. I'm not good enough for that. I'm afraid of this, so I won't do that. Or
Hmm.
their unconscious mind will do something to, to benefit them, even. Somebody just mentioned unconscious eating.
Yeah.
Uh,
Good
you know,
question.
that's a lot of times, well, it's almost always driven by emotion.
Okay.
My
Mhm.
curiosity is what's behind the emotion. Is it you hiding from somebody or something that you dealt with in the past that you don't want to experience again? So you create a layer of safety between you and them.
Yeah.
Is it what is it doing to soothe you? How is it?
Mm.
There's a lot. There's so many different questions. I get really curious with my clients.
Yes. Yeah, and that curiosity does have probably a deeper calling your subconscious interviewing their subconscious
Sure.
to some
Yeah.
degree there. And with PTSD, it seems like maybe it was always this way. I'm just younger, but everyone has something that could get out of control in any minute. Like everyone has like a PTSD could get out of control, and so they're on Adderall or they're this or they're that or a
Yeah.
young adult. It's like, and to some degree, I can't tell. It's like, is this? Because I would buy the argument that TV, modern, the way we are today, we're too sensitive for it, and just we have no coping skills, and maybe people are wigging out, or
Yeah.
in another case, like you just trying to get out of the gym, you can't quite tell, if they're just trying to get out of things in life from it too. It's weird, but I've seen the soldiers in particular
Yeah.
who are hurting, like
Oh yeah.
just in their eyes they're hurting, and they don't have the skill sets, and I think because of the soldier mentality, it's not cool to talk about it or something. I mean, there's like a kind of a quiet to it. So these people I have seen go down a really hard, difficult path.
Yeah.
And so in that case, I mean, what is your approach with someone who's suffering right now? What would be like your first goal in a session for them?
Find some peace in that.
Okay.
We can't change the past.
Well, okay. There's
And
peace.
and
There's peace here somewhere.
well, yeah, the thing is, people beat themselves up over things that happened in the past, and there's nothing we can do about it. We can't change it, so we might as well learn from it and grow from it, and find a new way of looking at it.
Okay.
And a lot of times, that's what I'm doing when I'm working with somebody with trauma. I mean, my gosh, you survived it, right? That's one thing that part of you back then didn't know, and that's why the emotions set in.
Yeah.
If you're 20 years down the road and you realize that that thing back there that I survived is still affecting me, then we need to have a conversation,
Yeah.
because it's not here anymore. Now, we could sit and talk about time and what time is and the construct of time and that all time is all the same. And here's here and now is past, the future, it's all happening at the same time. And I kind of play with that too in the mind.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm flipping back and forth between time and space and maneuvering people in and out of experience. So it breaks down the construct of whatever they were holding on to back then.
So you
And
kind of dissemble their, because I teach a system that like puts things together to make it happen.
yeah,
And it sounds like you're just deassembling it. You're just kind of saying, let's not have this connect to this.
yeah,
You know, it's like cutting apart
largely,
the,
yeah, yeah,
yeah, interesting.
yeah.
And
I
to the
want to break
client,
down
it's
the
a,
idea that they carry.
yes, and the power
That's
behind it. Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
that's interesting. And then I'm quite curious, then do you leave them with a replacement idea? I mean, not that you come
Oh,
up with, but
no,
yeah.
it's entirely up to them. Yeah, and
Okay.
that's one thing I want to know from every single person who I work with is what do you want on the other side of this?
Ah, that's interesting.
Because putting my words in there, that won't mean anything to them. And even changing and interpreting the way that they tell me they want to experience their life is not going to be accepted by them. So I'm very particular about language and the way people express things and the way I express it back to them
Okay.
because their words are going to be more to them than anything I will ever say.
Yeah. I mean, if they're the ones to say the spell,
Yeah,
that they fall
exactly.
under, see,
Right.
now you are both magician and person. Well, I have a couple more questions about the supernatural to you, but we have to take a quick break if you don't mind. So we'll be right back after this message and we'll continue our talk. Thank you. From the creators of 40 Days of Past Lives and Karma and 40 Days of Self-Love comes the class you've been waiting for, an introduction to Step Astrology. That's right, I'm sharing some of my inside secrets on how to read a chart according to Step Astrology and help you interpret the stars, whether it's for yourself or for clients. Keep a lookout for us coming soon.
Did you know that discordant energies such as illness, trauma, violence, and depression can linger on a property for hundreds of years, going all the way back to the very beginning of that parcel of land? This can also happen with family heirlooms, antiques, or even previously owned furniture. If you've been feeling blocked in life, more ill than usual, or again just uncomfortable in your home, your space could be holding onto residual energies. Refresh My Property can help clear these energies remotely. Scan the QR code to get your free phone consultation today and begin clearing your space and your life.
Hey, that's so interesting. I was watching that commercial and I was thinking to myself, just your voice could just lend itself in this industry. The light workers are just now starting to make commercials and advertise their services. So you got the voice, man. You could be like,
I do voiceover work too, so
yeah, you got a great smooth voice there. I'm sure you can get the idea in clearly. Like you got some suggestions on how to get the idea in. I was curious about the supernatural in the sense of if you've, first of all, what is hypnosis versus I think hypnotherapy? Like it's a little different, right? I mean, therapy is like over time or
well, you can play around with hypnosis, and hypnosis, like I said, is really the acceptance of a truth. So
okay.
whether it's very short-term truth, a real truth, or false truth, either one, it's acceptance of that. Hypnotherapy is taking somebody from a truth they've accepted to a truth that really makes sense. Really, that's the way I look at it.
Mm-hmm.
One that makes sense to their life now and who they are today. Because a lot of traumas and the fears that we have are based on some experience we had in the past, and they're there with us for a reason because every behavior has a benefit. I don't care what it is, overeating, drugs, alcohol, everything has a benefit. And my curiosity with my clients is what is the benefit for that? And what do we need to put in there that's going to make more sense to who you are now?
Can I pay you more from this benefit?
What's that?
And can I pay you? You can get paid more from this other benefit,
Oh, I froze.
Yeah.
There we go.
Back in a second. Yeah. There we go. We got you back. A little energy's it's been wonky energy too, but we've had a lot of tech stuff lately. So my only last point was, or you talking them into a higher benefit for a different approach, like you have more benefits from this angle than that angle, and sometimes logic. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah. Well, it depends on where they are in their life and what they want. And a lot of times I'll take my clients through a values elicitation and have them break it down into hierarchy and really just start to define what is truly important.
Okay.
Because most people don't even really understand what their values are and what drives them.
No.
So or what the value of something is, and if it's valuable enough, they're willing to do it. Somebody said a minute ago, it looks like I lift weights. I do, because I want to take care of myself, and the value of the outcome of that is worth the pain that I go through in the gym. Because I do. I work really hard when I go in there, but it's because I know the end result. It's not because I have fun doing it. Uh,
Yeah, yeah.
But it's worth it. When I'm 75 years old, I get to reap the benefits of the work that I've done for myself.
Mm. Yeah, my brother, who's my gym partner for years, was like, I love to leave the gym. It's always about leaving the gym. So I'm not being there. It's all a lot of work, So I guess that I'm wondering is many of your, well, I've seen books, I've read books where people put other people in hypnosis. They go and discover these other parts like past lives, or they discover in between lifetimes and things like
Right.
that. And so there's
Right.
multi-lifetime, multi-dimensional, seems like right under the hood there too. Is that something you have come across, or something?
I've facilitated past life regressions.
Oh, you
Several.
have? Okay. Okay.
Yeah. It's not really my focus in my practice, but
Yeah.
it's really not that difficult to do, honestly. If you know what you're doing, I guess
Mm,
that helps.
yeah.
Uh, but yeah, no, I've worked with people with all kinds of interdimensional, life between life, past life stuff. I've had past life regressions myself. But all I know is that we change here and now.
Right. Right. Yeah.
Whether something happened 200 years ago, you're only gonna heal from it today.
Hmm.
So that's where I like to work.
You're a step four Aries, and I would expect nothing less, which is like really an athlete kind of energy, that is focused on finding where you belong right now, knowing where you belong in any minute. Like, and so I feel like from astrologer to you talents, like you can detect where things belong, or at least you can hear what they're saying, and you have your own system to knowing how to do that. So I'd say you have a built-in sort of radar, in a way, bringing someone back to themselves.
Yeah.
Now, in the past life stuff, I hear you, and I know a lot of friends who are the same way. It's like, I'm fucked up in this life, like you don't want to hear it, Christopher. Did you have benefit from seeing past lives of your own? I mean, you obviously must have believed it was true because you were using your own method.
Did I see any benefit from it? I don't know. It was an interesting experience.
Hmm.
I don't know that I healed anything from it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's been going back to that and experiencing whatever that was.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say we do or don't.
Right.
I know we have amazing imaginations, and we can create all kinds of things. So I'm not
Yeah.
going to say we don't have past lives or future lives, or we're experiencing all of them on some level in the next universe, which is parallel to us right here. Uh,
Right.
it depends on the truth you decide to believe, I guess. How are you hypnotized?
Yeah. How are you already hypnotized? What you're
Yeah,
saying?
exactly.
Yeah. Ask my wife. Well, how about this in the sense of other modalities? Do you find yourself bringing in other tools to your practice outside the hypnotherapy? Like once you're in there?
Um, Not well, again, I focused on the hypnosis and neurolinguistic programming and staying primarily within that kind of change work.
Mm-hmm.
So I really don't bring anything else into it. That's where my full attention has been for the past 26 years. And my goal was just to be the best I could possibly be at that. It's
Yeah.
it's that Aries thing.
No, it is. Well, performance.
Yeah.
I can see it's just as easily in a lifetime where you're living in the suburbs and you're the best knee surgeon in Texas.
Right.
Like, you just get it every time. So
Yeah.
I understand that. I mean, I'm more curious about right now in astrology, it is showing that consciousness is just expanding.
Mm.
It's the ceiling's going up. Suddenly we have more RAM. Suddenly we just have more space everywhere. And so I'm real curious. I'm poking around poking around for is like, are you witnessing anything sort of not I wouldn't say abnormal, but just a shift in the direction of human growth or awareness in your practice because you're down there, with people intimately day after day.
I see a lot of fear.
Building,
What's that?
building fear, like fear is getting worse, or
Yeah. People, it's coming from childhood stuff, but it's also with what's going on in the world. People are afraid of what's happening, so I see a lot of that popping up now. Uh, I've had some because of political beliefs and stuff like that, which
Yeah.
I'd stay out all that,
right.
but people sometimes get a little too drawn up into it.
Well, I'm putting the two together now because I find in my work, most of the time, now I'm psychic and I don't even expect you to believe what that means or it's factual, but in my session with them, I always get images and pictures and they'll tell me what they know. And
Mhm.
quite often when they're afraid today, it's a review of yesterday. It's something that they had already lived and it's like they're projecting or they're seeing that on this, but calling it this. So a lot of times I find with the fear, it's not like this moment. It's coming from somewhere else. Yeah.
Well, most fear is coming from something else, and it's projected on the experiences they're having today. But the thing is that fear could be because of something that happened yesterday. Literally within hours, they could create something. Going
Yeah.
back to talk about the way the news affects us, and
Right.
when people just buy into it, whether you're sitting around watching Fox or CNN,
Right.
their whole point is to really rile you up emotionally and affect you in that way.
Yes. Yes. I
So
know.
yeah.
I wish people could see. I came from TV film. I mean, I saw the deliberate. We saw it. I think in our minds, what it was is like we're just rolling it for commercial. We'll relieve the tension when we get back. So to me, it's like a small. In their minds, like just a small manipulation over a commercial break.
Yep,
But really,
that's
yeah, so
exactly what it is. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, they've got your full attention at that point, and then your mind is open to suggestion, and then Taco Bell's open till midnight.
because that's when they advertise it right then, or pharmacy prescriptions. But I also
Exactly,
feel
yeah.
there's also a puppeteer up here too. I mean, right?
Oh,
Like, yeah.
it's
There's a lot of this going on. So yes, it's just a commercial of thousands, kind of thing.
right.
Yeah. Well, where do you see else? Do you see? I mean, just out of curiosity, fun game here. Where else do you see hypnosis or hypnotic techniques sort of happening or being used? I mean, clearly commercials are often used.
Well, I mean, my gosh, government does it, TV does it, church does it.
Yes, true.
There's a book called "The Hypnotic Language Patterns of Milton H. Erickson." I think. Don't get me wrong. I'm probably messing up the title. It's called Patterns, is what we call it in the business.
Okay.
But there is apparently a school in Oklahoma that they buy them by the case, and then they denounce hypnosis as evil, even though they're using it to in their evangelical.
Oh,
Or,
okay. You're talking about the church. Hypnosis is
yeah,
evil. It's
yeah,
evil. Yeah.
yeah.
That's
Yeah, so they're
fascinating.
learning how to use those language patterns,
Yeah.
and then yeah,
There are some that just carry along, and TV's the same way. Like we'll be right back. It's like you're just running this like it just scripts you.
yeah.
What about with you could probably see it in lots of different places, but clearly it seems like everyone who's on camera, anyone's presenting in most cases, especially in the news, it feels like a programmed disposition in the first place. I mean, in other words, are they being programmed? Is my question.
Well,
I
that's
mean?
what TV programming is. It's programming
True.
you.
Right.
Yeah.
Precisely. Yeah, I
Yep.
do feel that's true. And you could see it happen in the 50s, I think is when TV came out after World War II. But they also saw, paperclip, what kind of tools are at our disposal if we wanted to, as far as what Hitler had done with the propaganda machine out there.
Oh, yeah. You can follow this back to P.T. Barnum.
Okay.
Edward Bernays back in the
Okay.
30s was working with. They were doing some really deep, nasty stuff with people.
Yeah.
CIA got involved in it in the 40s and 50s,
Okay.
and they were doing some really interesting things that really probably shouldn't have been done.
Yeah.
Manipulating people's minds, and
Yeah.
yeah,
Seems that, yeah, of course. It seems there's always been some wish of an emperor to have mind control.
yeah.
Like every emperor
Well,
going on Rome, everyone, yeah.
For the most part, they have mind control. The
Yes.
population is going to do basically what they're told to do.
Yeah,
We saw that
true.
happen 5 years ago.
Yes.
It was instant almost, and the majority of people went straight into it.
I was
Uh,
amazed. I
yeah,
was amazed.
yeah.
You know what? I'm so glad you're talking about this because it gives a different context that's less explosive.
Mm.
If we're talking whether or not we're under some sort of hypnosis, then right? Then it's like okay, it's not a conspiracy; it's a hypnosis. But it kind of is.
That's what anything I look at, I'm looking at it from that perspective. I'm like, how is the trance happening here? How is the hypnosis happening here? How are people being manipulated?
Yeah.
It's and it's so easy now with AI.
Yes,
And
I guess a great. Now, are you at all concerned about being replaced by AI?
not personally.
Yeah,
I
you'll
think
make it.
I would say half of the hypnotists out there should be replaced with AI. Because they really don't know what they're doing. They've gone
Yeah.
through a training, they're reading at people.
Yeah, I know,
And
but their customers love it. So
yeah, but
You
so
know what I
far
mean?
AI hasn't been able to have that kind of direct connection with somebody.
it sure
And
feels like it's trying it when it talks to me, man. I don't know if
it's
it's my
working.
parent. I don't know if I'm paranoid. I've got something under there. I mean, yes, I am. I've been under, somebody. I mean, it feels a little. Now I finally understand the character Hal. You know what I mean? Now there's
Yeah,
AI.
right.
As a kid, like that's interesting. But now that I'm an adult, I'm like, this thing's kind of spooking me.
It is a little scary. Yeah.
Yeah.
It knows me a little too well now because I've done so much work in there around trainings and workshops that I've done. And,
Wow.
yeah, so it knows my entire business inside and out.
Right.
Yeah.
I know. And you trust that? I'm just curious. I mean,
I mean,
who cares?
yeah, I really don't have anything that I'm hiding as far as my business goes.
Sure.
So,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know, it doesn't know all my personal information, I don't think.
Right.
Maybe it's watching me on the camera.
It is. It will digest everything and eventually have an opinion like that. I'm not too concerned about it ultimately. I mean, talking to alien species, you know, when I get the chance to have an alien person here,
Yeah.
and ask the alien species, and they basically say, no, what always happens in civilization is the AI becomes smarter than the people, at which point they know to treat them well.
Yeah.
Like the AI concludes this is the nice way is the way to go. It's like it's a logical conclusion, so it doesn't become a problem like we think it does here.
Yeah.
But interesting in that sense. Well, I just wondered. I mean, I can see how AI could. I mean, just it's got a weird mysticism around it. It could theoretically kind of do that, and I'd be concerned about that in the sense of you know, pinball machine quarter in a bar. I'm a hot, sexy magnet. Just put in the quarter. This is gonna go to places, right?
Yeah, if it can do that, I got a quarter.
Yeah, exactly. Especially you if you can pull it down.
Oh,
So what would you say to someone who is skeptical, though? I mean, who's I mean, me. I've always been a little afraid of some. I was afraid that people can poke around in my head and me not know about it. I think that's the childhood fear of it.
yeah. Well, first off, you're not going to if you're not going to tell a hypnotist anything you don't want to tell them anyway.
Okay.
You know, even in deep trance, you're in control.
Okay, I want to hear that too. That's interesting.
Yeah, the thing is, you're not going to pass out. You're not going to black out. You're not going to be unconscious or anything like that. People can literally you can get up and walk away from a session. Just open your eyes and move away.
Gotcha. You just stop playing along.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah,
Yeah.
because there has to be a permission between you and the client to even be able to go into a state like that. There has to be a lot of trust. You
Okay.
know, if at some point in the middle of a session, the hypnotist, again, I'll use those finger quotes there, the hypnotist says something that is against your ethics or morals, your mind is going to kick right in. That gatekeeper is going to kick up, and you're going to walk out of
Okay.
the office. You
Right.
know,
Okay.
they're not going to turn you into a mass murderer or dig
Yeah.
in and find out, you know, what happened when you were a kid, or you're not going to give away secrets or anything like that.
Yeah.
Those are
Okay.
a lot of misconceptions about it because I don't have control over people's minds. In fact, I don't want control over their minds. I want them to have control. That's why they call me.
Would you argue that they always do, but just sometimes forget? I
Oh,
mean,
yeah, absolutely.
yeah. I mean,
Absolutely. Everybody's where they want to be right now.
right.
And,
Just don't
people
understand.
go, no, I'm not. I'm like, yeah, actually, you are. You're exactly where you wanted to be.
Yes.
You may not
And
like it, but those are the choices that you've created that have brought you exactly in this moment. And the
yeah.
life you have is one that you've created. Now, I'm not going to say there's obviously certain external circumstances that can affect us,
Right.
but if the choices have led you where you are, that's where you wanted to be.
That's what you wanted. Yeah.
Yeah.
Completely. People come to me like, I'm afraid I'm gonna destroy everything. I'm like, it takes a lot of work to destroy everything. you gotta be really stay at it. You gotta stay at destroying your life. Like get it every
Yeah.
day, hit it on mark, and be focused. It's a lot of work. I don't think you're gonna do it. You know. So, but people are afraid that. But you know, I think we're under a lot of suggestion in TV, film, music, all sorts of suggestion. The satanic is there, and all this other stuff. And so, you know, we've heard so much. We started to believe that it can happen. That you can be taken over. But my experience with all conscious and people I've been with is this. Even the most gullible who will just buy anything, some part of them is letting you do that.
Oh, yeah.
Like you can
Yeah,
feel
yeah,
they're like, yeah, trick me. You know, there's another part of them that is fully aware.
Yep.
So there's really no cheating at the end of the day, you know, conscious wise. Yeah. Yeah.
Not
I
really.
wonder.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes you feel better. So how would I pick up it's someone I like, blah, blah, blah. I guess I don't know. I have to think about it. Maybe you, sir. And then suddenly you've taken over the show. I don't know how that happened, but I'll trust someone to go in there. But I've been holding back. Some of it's because I had a father who's always trying to get in there, so I know it's a defense mechanism.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so childhood stuff blocks that.
Yeah.
So what would you say is like a real surefire thing in the sense of if someone is having issues with eating, legit, you feel like that can turn around?
That it can? Oh, absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because so
Yeah,
many of my
and
clients.
again, it depends on the layers and what people have been experiencing, what they've been through, where those beliefs came from. Is this something that happened when you were 3 years old? Did it happen because of a bad relationship that you were in, and all of a sudden you started gaining weight because you wanted to push that person away? literally and figuratively,
Yes.
and keep anybody else away who's even like that person. So a lot of times people carry the weight even beyond that.
Yes.
So there's a lot of different reasons that people end up with weight. Typically, I'm going to work with weight with somebody. It's going to be at least 4 sessions because
Okay.
we have some layers to work through.
Interesting. And that's why I'm asking, because, guys, there's so many people, a lot of my clients too, who the spiritual part of it, of like here, understanding, giving you a turn point. I mean, what I can offer is a new point of view, and also you connecting to who your real self is, and tell the parts of you that are, not legit, just point them out.
Yeah.
And then it's pretty much, okay, go on out on the street, see if you do it. But a session with you is a lot different. I think that it's like surgery. I feel like there's a lot of my clients out there right now. I know I can, who you are, where it's just like, at this point, you might as well just go ahead and get that boost to this issue, because they're having a hard time being self-motivated or whatever it is to just kind of push themselves over that hill and try it. And I think the more we eat foods that make us docile, and the more we eat, all these processed things, that we become even less motivated. And it seems like your approach is like a quick booster shot, if nothing else. Sorry for the use of that word, but it's a quick super boost, spiritual boost.
I like that.
Yeah, super boost, kind of up and over where you're bullshitting yourself in lots of cases. You're just kind of caught in your own storytelling, aren't you?
Yeah. I had a woman just a few days ago who's been drinking a lot.
Okay.
Like she'll drink a bottle and a half of wine, 2 bottles every night.
Wow.
And we did one session. We had one session last Thursday, I think, and she hasn't had a drop since. She called me a little while ago, just to kind of check in, let me know how things are going. But we spent an hour and a half together, and this has been going on for 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
And she's not had the desire to drink since we finished our conversation. So
Yeah. I believe I think I know what that feels like, from having me healed from an issue overnight. Like, some things in my life, and just suddenly it's like it's gone. I don't.
Yeah.
It's gone. I wish I could kid myself, but it's gone. And you wait a couple days, it's still gone.
Yep.
It's really weird. It's just a flip like that. Yeah, I have so many clients. If you know who you are, it's like, well, you've been stuck on these small things for a long time now, like a good 3 to 5 years at least of me seeing you. And I understand I have these heavy things too. And it's like, if you can just kind of like get a boost over it, and what's the range that people can expect to pay per session? I know it varies by state and whatnot, but then again, it's becoming an internet economy, so it doesn't yeah.
It depends on the quality you're looking for.
Okay, gotcha.
I charge about $300 an hour.
Okay.
So which I think is quite reasonable for what I do.
Yeah.
And typically you can expect an hour and a half to 2 hours for a first session.
Okay.
So
is that preliminary work?
$450 or something like that.
Okay.
I work with clients typically very short term.
Okay.
So like I said, sometimes I may only see a client for a session.
Yeah, that's interesting.
That may be all they need with me. But I have some clients that I work with and coach for months on end too, because not only do they want to work through the layers that they've created over their lives, but they want to move forward in ways that they can't do on their own.
Yes.
And having somebody on the outside to give them some perspective is invaluable. Just like any good coach, right?
Yeah, totally. I mean, when the vibes with you,
yeah.
And this can be done over the phone. One thing I want to know, like, you can, Skype.
I do everything I do it on Zoom.
Yes,
the reason I do it on Zoom is because I want to see those micro expressions.
Yeah,
I want to watch the body language. I'm looking for everything that's going on in front of me. And when I'm on the phone, I can catch the intonation and the inflections and things like that, but it's much more difficult to be able to read what the unconscious mind is doing at that point.
Yeah. Because I'm old school in the sense of my first readings were on the phone, cassette player recording.
Right.
That's how the readings were. And then we became to this, and then of course there's in-person readings, once you were certain status or calling each other home and stuff like that. Now I'm in person. Long story short, Zooming is the best thing that's ever happened, because you can get you can get so close to each other, like a real practitioner, but not really in my face. And as soon as I turn this thing, you're gone. Like my therapist is gone. Like as soon as I turn it off. It's a weird, interesting tool that allows really for openness, but also truth and honor, but also boundaries to leave if you want to. I can see it would work really well.
I've been using it. I've been using it exclusively for 8.5 years now.
Wow. Okay.
So I haven't had an office. In fact, Michelle, Michelle Jones, she and I shared our last office together. And that was 8.5 years ago.
Oh,
after that, I went out and never looked back to an office again.
Yeah. Well, Michelle puts me under spell all the time.
Yeah.
I'm under her spell all the time. So I can see that, which I like. It's a good feeling. And you're going to offer someone. We have something for our people, right?
Yeah,
meditation, something for
yeah.
them. So they can
There's a free hypnosis meditation. I think I sent the link right there. You go. You can scan that code and go get a free 10-minute guided meditation, which is actually hypnosis, by the way, because nobody can meditate you.
That's interesting. You brought up a whole topic to talk to you about next time.
Yeah.
Meditation. Yeah, I can't pull up. I don't think we're being told the truth with meditation. I just don't think.
I think real meditation only happens within us. I don't think that's something somebody can guide you into. They can guide you into a trance experience.
Right. Okay.
And you can do things in there with that, but typically being guided.
Yeah.
I think that really, if you want to meditate, just close your eyes and focus on your breath and slowly learn how to quiet your mind.
Well, how would you compare that state to the state you bring clients to? Is it the same state?
Big difference. Big difference for me anyway. Because when I'm meditating, I'm not going into it with purpose. I'm going in, except for the purpose of just allowing my mind to quiet. Because I want to be able to let everything go throughout the day, and working with clients sometimes getting into some of these heavy conversations. I need to be grounded. So that's the main reason I practice meditation. With hypnosis, there is a specific outcome that we're headed towards, whether we're doing self-hypnosis or somebody is guiding us through an experience. So there's an outcome that we're moving toward in that respect.
I might just reveal to me that I'm going into meditation with an intention. Maybe that's the problem.
Well, it's not necessarily a bad thing, but I think that's more self-hypnosis than anything, honestly. If you have an intention that you're going into it for,
interesting.
You want your unconscious mind to do work for you while you're in there.
Yes.
For me, meditation is just being still and being quiet and letting the thoughts go, and
just turning off,
just turning everything off.
Letting everything cool off. I have to do the same
as
thing
much as possible. Yeah.
It's well, I mean, energetically, depending on how deep you go, it's like you take on the client's energy.
Oh yeah. Well, I don't do that. I'm very good at leaving that over there.
Probably true. Yeah.
Yeah.
Being Aries, I don't have those skills.
Yeah. I'm not going to suck up somebody else's problem.
Well, I'm just trying to read it. So, I'm in the radiation for that, like what am I saying here? Oh, geez, but I don't want to take it on. I have a lot of boundaries I put up, but still the experience is a little like,
yeah, sure.
Sure. Interesting.
At the end of the day, I'm exhausted too. I mean, it takes.
Yes. Okay. That's good. Yeah. I'm not saying good, but I'm curious too, because it is, people don't realize how much work that is to hold space like that, consciously aware for an hour. Yeah.
Yeah. 4 sessions a day maximum. After that, I'm cooked.
Wow. Yeah. I'm pretty much cooked at 3. That's where I'm really tired at that point. Right. And I don't know if I can give you a lot more. My talent just starts to fade as the hours go on. Yeah. Well, I think this is excellent because I know we have a lot of subscribers who have a need for this hopefully a one and done. He's like, pop the hood, let's get rid of this bad spark plug, whatever's going on. But the meditation we just brought up at the end here makes me realize too, like the power of this realm is to perhaps find that space. I mean, I'd like to talk to you next time if you come back sometime and talk about how, knowing the tools you have, how you find that meditative space inside of you, because I haven't found it completely yet. I imagine you have more experience in that realm than I do. So
it's fleeting, I catch it here and there. But I think the point is just to not hold on to the thoughts as they show up and, and just let them go, because they, thoughts can become real, but they don't have to be in the moment. So as far as I'm concerned, if I'm sitting and meditating, then whatever emotions and whatever thoughts come up in the moment don't really matter in the moment. They're just my mind who's trying to get in my way from the silence and the peace that I'm trying to create. Right. So I just push, thanks for coming by, just go away. Thanks for coming by, just go away. And keep coming back to the breath. Always back to the breath.
Yeah, because the mind's excited. It thinks it has the time to spend now to think about things it's wanting to think about. It's like, oh, good, we can think. It's like, no, you're the ones also going.
I kind of look at like a 3-year-old on caffeine between your ears. It does whatever it wants to do, and it's got plenty of energy to do it. And we're telling it to sit down and shut up for a few minutes.
I know. Thank you. That's what I was getting at. That's why I think there's a conspiracy thing or hypnosis against meditating. They don't want us to connect because they're telling us.
Well, and I think that may be true as well, but that's a whole other conversation we can have later.
It's just funny to tell you to silence your mind. Your mind's like, I won't. Yes, you will. And that's it. The subject is caught in that. And so they will surely not find God in that moment, Yeah. In church as well, too. Well, it's been a delight. I've had a great conversation with you today, sir.
Yeah. Thanks for inviting me in. Really
Thank you
enjoyed
for coming. And I hope people try you out. And I look forward to talking to you again. And you got that voice. I might call you up for VO work if you're interested.
You know where to find me.
Okay, good. I appreciate it. Thank you for all you did for Unite the Light too, sir. Thank you.
Sir. Yeah. Thanks, Sensei.
See you next time, guys.
Yes, sir.
All right. So I said guys. I made plural there. Guy. Well, folks, how was that? Are you mesmerized now? Are you going to go buy the Intro to Step Astrology, which goes live over the weekend, by the way. So check it out. We've been finessing it, still in this sort of place, trying to make things kind of nicer. You know, part of my new approach to my new reality is to sort of think twice before I leap, or 3 times. I don't know, whatever I need to add there. So we're taking a little time to tinker it, but it will be available over the weekend, and that'll be at seriousjoy.academy. Seriousjoy.academy. And I'm teaching the power of astrology, by the way. I'm teaching you how to use it in your daily life. This isn't how to read a chart. In fact, we won't even run charts. In the step method, you don't have to run a chart. You just need an ephemeris. So you don't need a time of birth. You don't need to run a chart. And you'll learn to have tools that can help you get through the day with managing your consciousness. So again, seriousjoy.academy tomorrow. Try that tomorrow. Otherwise, thank you so much for joining us on this Friday night. I'm having a good time with you. Hope you're having a nice summer out there. And we'll see you next week with more. Until then, I love you. Live, love, be. From the creators of 40 Days of Past Lives and Karma and 40 Days of Self-Love comes the class you've been waiting for, an introduction to Step Astrology. That's right, I'm sharing some of my inside secrets on how to read a chart according to Step Astrology and help you interpret the stars, whether it's for yourself or for clients. Keep a lookout for us coming soon.
Are you a practitioner looking to move your life's work into the spotlight? Do you have that special magic that makes you stand out? Serious Joy is now auditioning for its new Practitioner of the Week segment on Namaste Today. Sensei Christopher is looking to highlight qualified lightworkers with a promo short dedicated to raising awareness about your gifts. Interested? Contact Jenny at intuitive.com to apply for an audition.